It's gonna be like the longest NVC.
I'm Terry Schwartz, and I am editorial manager of entertainment down in LA.
Hey, I'm Jim Vavida, executive editor of IGN Movies.
Hey guys, I'm Tom Jorgensen. I'm a video producer in the LA IGN office.
Terry's my boss. My name is Josh Riel. I run IGN Comic Book.
My typical day at IGN. Well, first it starts with coffee.
My day-to-day in the IGN office is a little, it can be hectic sometimes because the entertainment news cycle is extremely unpredictable. Any news can drop at any time.
Every day ends up being pretty different, especially this time of year with Star Wars and everything going on. You know, Josh was comics editor, but we all work together a lot. Nerd culture is pop culture at this point. So I think, you know, a lot of news, a lot of breaking trailers, a lot of things to react to, be they TV, comics, movies.
Like, okay, you know, so-and-so is gonna buy this company, what does that mean for this property? Or, hey, this character's coming into this shared universe now, what could happen? You know, what are we gonna do about that? So I work with our features team, our features editors, I work with our video producers, I work with my manager, our editorial manager. So it's kind of the whole encompassing strategy of what our content is.
Yeah, we're always doing big reviews and stuff like that.
You have a big review coming up.
I do. I'm reviewing the Star Wars The Last Jedi. I'm reviewing an episode of Star Wars. I'm already freaking out just thinking about it. But no, yeah, so I run the comic book beat, and because everything these days, every TV show or movie is about a comic book or a superhero, I have a lot to do in those realms as well, so it's not just the paper comics, although those are my first and greatest love.
I think the funny thing about working in entertainment, I don't know if you fall into this trap as well, where there's just so much to cover. Again, like there's so many shows that Netflix and Hulu are dropping, not to mention everything on TV. There are so many awesome movies coming out all over the place, so many comics that like it's hard to keep up sometimes. And I think a lot of our day-to-day is prioritizing. Like I think people expect when they say, oh, you're the comics editor, oh, you get to read comics all day, but there's so much other stuff.
Then I laugh and then cry. It's like, oh, I wish.
That like I really, you know, it's not like we sit there during the day and just watch a bunch of TV episodes or watch movies. It really is a lot of looking at the news, figuring out follow-up content, writing the news, writing reviews, shooting videos, and a lot of balancing those things with whatever the news cycle is, as well as a lot of projects that we want to do. Yeah, I think what I love about you and Jim and...
No, talk about more about me.
No, what you guys do is you really get to own the beat, right? Like you're the comics editor, that's your space. But as you said, comics spread so much into other parts, not only of entertainment, but also on the game side as well. Like you did a lot of Injustice work with them, and especially when they did the tie-in.
And the new Spider-Man game that's coming up on PS4.
My day-to-day also involves a little bit more of managing not only the entertainment team, but how we work with the video team and the social team. And there are certain sales elements that come into it. When we have the Dark Tower sponsoring our E3 live stream, we get to figure out or I guess they were Comic-Con, but we get to figure out some cool ways that we can work with the director on that when it comes to our fan activations and things like that. So it's a lot of top level stuff, but I like sort of sinking my fingers into a good article now and then.
Yeah, Terry's a workhorse. It's hard to get her to stop.
It's true.
So our team has to be really versatile and be able to move from one thing to another very quickly to keep up with that pace, and working with the entertainment team. Everyone there is so on top of that, and I just try to keep up with them.
But yeah, the ultimate reason we do all this is because as Terry was saying, there are so many shows, so many comics, all these movies. We are here to help you decide which ones are worth your time, which ones we think are the best, using our good taste to be like, this Spider-Man comic book, not that one.
And I trust you. Oh, you go first.
So I used to be a civilian contractor writing instruction manuals for the military.
It seems so colorful.
And yeah.
Every day is an adventure.
Yes.
I came to work at IGN when I saw a posting on the careers page that actually does work if you want to work at IGN. That's how I got in. I was working in Los Angeles as an assistant editor for a company that made movies for the Sci-Fi Channel. So I worked on movies like Lavalantula 2. No, I'm sorry, 2 Lava, 2 Lantula. And they hate it when you mess that up. Earth-tastrophe and Drone Wars, all these movies that you guys have probably definitely seen. And after about 6 months of that, I applied at IGN and got the job.
It's just like growing up, my only skills were really writing. I was terrible at math and numbers and stuff. I liked science, but it ended up having a lot to do with math in the end. Like science is like secret math class.
Physics.
But yeah, so really always came back to writing. And so one of my teachers she suggested I do technical writing, which is writing instruction manuals. And a big part of that industry is writing things for the military. So I was writing manuals on how to fix like armored Humvees and like radios and stuff that the military would use. And so things I never imagined I would ever do. But as I was sitting in a giant warehouse with no air conditioning in South Carolina, I was on IGN, and they were all at Comic-Con having a great time doing all this cool stuff. And I was like, I'd like to do that instead. And then around the same time, I saw a job opening for the comics editor, and I went and I looked at it, and it was really just a list of everything you needed to do to get the job. And I was like, well, I don't really have a lot of that, except for the first one, which was like an insane passion for comic books. And I was like, but I bet if I start working on it now, then by the time it opens up again, I bet I'll have all the necessary experience. And I actually sent that in email to my dad that I still have to this day. But yeah, so then I kind of slowly started chipping away at that list of things like writes reviews, either for a personal blog or for a site that you can even do for free, go to comic book conventions, meet people like artists and writers, editors, get contacts in industry. And so, and then when I went to Comic-Con, Joey Esposito, who was the IGN comics editor at that time, was there, and I met him and actually got the business card of his boss, Chris Carl, who I then took. And the best thing about giving your business card to someone is you get theirs in response. They'll probably throw yours away, but I kept Chris Carl's, right, and emailed him and told him what I was doing. And he had actually written the job posting that I was using as my to-do list. That he was, he was kind of impressed of that and offered me a freelance gig, and which I wrote out for 2 years, just writing stuff for IGN Comics and also some things from news and for TV and movies. And then eventually Joey quit and I took his job.
You did it. You made him let him come up again. That's the best origin story.
Yeah.
Well, I have an interesting origin story, I think. I have been doing this for quite a while. I started my own blog back when it was still on dial-up stuff. I am one of the last of the real old school early days of the kind of movie internet sites stuff. So I wrote under a pen name for years. I would review screenplays, and I would write about different things in production or in development. And so I wrote under a name Stax, S-T-A-X, and I started my own what would now be a blog, but it was a site then. And then I basically got poached away by IGN to be a full-time freelancer for them around the time the first X-Men movie came out. And I did 6 years full-time freelance for IGN. In the meantime, I went to work for the Hollywood Reporter, and I was an online editor over there, worked there for a year, and then IGN poached me away. And I've now been with them for, it'll be 12 years come February 2018. So I've seen IGN through many incarnations, many owners, many folks have passed through. I like to think that I'm kind of like Woody Harrelson on Cheers, where I wasn't season 1, but man, I ended up being there all the way through and have kind of met and known everybody and seen the whole scene kind of changed?
So how I came to IGN, I'd always been a fan of it. It's funny, you know, I would talk about how I used all of the IGN wikis for Chocograph hunting now when I could not find them in Final Fantasy IX. I had a similar start in that I always liked writing. I was okay with math, but I just didn't like it. Like, I wanted to write fantasy novels.
She's just bragging now.
No,
she knows how to do math.
Science though, science I cannot wrap my head around. But so I always liked writing, and I was in high school, and my friend's mom was like, oh, you know, you should go into journalism. That is a practical use of writing that's not like an English degree that you might get out of it. Like, well, I can't actually write a fantasy novel like I wanted to do. So I did that, and when I was in college, sort of a similar thing. I followed MTV Movies blog and a lot of those movie blogs like Slash Film and everything, and saw on MTV Movies blog a new editor started, and I just cold pitched him. I had like an interview with Eliza Dushku around the time that Buffy still mattered in a big way and people wanted to find out more about her in particular. Pitched that to them. They didn't know that I was 19, and started writing, and then just kept pitching, and it was for like $15 a article. It wasn't insane, but it was a good college job and helped me really get my foot in the door. And so since then, you know, I graduated, I moved to LA because I think it is important to be in the city of the industry you want to work in when that's relevant, and you know, for games media and for entertainment, that's tends to be, you know, San Francisco or LA or New York respectively. And so I moved to LA, I freelanced a lot, I met a lot of people, made a lot of contacts, ended up getting a full-time job at a TV website and worked there for a few years, and knew a lot of the folks at IGN, knew Eric Goldman, knew Roth Cornett. And when Roth left, I was like, I'm perfect for this job. I want this job. And I fought so hard. Like, I used every trick I could think of. Every single person I knew who possibly knew anyone at IGN, I was like, put in a good word for me. I know I will be so great at this job. I'll be, you know, do the TV stuff, do the entertainment stuff, can do game stuff, whatever. And in retrospect, seeing how people apply, I don't think a lot of people necessarily do that. Like, I think I went way too over the top, but when I finally sat down for the job interview with our editor-in-chief and publisher at the time, they were like, a lot of people like put in a word for you, which I guess helped. You know, a lot of people want these jobs, and so the rest is history. It ended up working out pretty well, and it has been as much of a dream job as I could have hoped. I don't know about your experience when you finally got that.
Every day is a dream job. No, I remember Terry's first day. She did more work in that one day that I think all of us had done that week. We were like, whoa, okay. She's like non-stop, does everything.
The internet is a tough competitive place to work, and I definitely came from some place. I think, you know, it's important. It's important to understand the scope of the things you want to do. I think a lot of people look at IGN and say, oh, I want to work there, but don't necessarily have the checklist of like, oh, here's what I need to do to be good at working there, because it is as fun as those Comic-Con live shows are. I will tell you, like, I spend weeks, like more than a month, prepping for those, and so many people are involved, and there's so much behind the scenes that sometimes that's not always visible to people, and I think it's important to have that understanding to kick butt at your job like Joshua.
Oh, stop.
Now.
The way that the internet and movie sites were treated once upon a time, where you could get a cease and desist for just looking crooked at something, to now being the voice of fans, and a much needed voice and much valued voice, is a pretty amazing arc. If you guys have never seen the movie Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid, there are days where I feel like I'm like the Pat Garrett character in that one, where you used to be an outlaw, but now you're sort of a lawman. You're kind of part of the establishment. It's a little weird for me to reconcile some days, because I do remember like sort of the guerrilla nature of how this stuff started. So it's been an interesting ride. It's been very fun and crazy. I've learned a lot, met a lot of people, seen parts of the world I probably wouldn't have seen otherwise. Seen a lot of great movies, a lot of horrible ones. But it's been, as Captain Kirk said in his final words, it was fun. Okay, can I say? I don't know. I've met so many celebrities in the 12 years that I've been a full-time staffer at IGN, and that's not a humble brag, it's simply part of my job. I interview actors all the time. I used to be very starstruck. I am not anymore. One celebrity kind of story I can say without feeling like I might get in too much trouble over is first time I met Michelle Rodriguez, and it was I knew she was from Texas, and I was sitting down to interview her for I think Fast and Furious, the 4th one. And we're at up by Dodger Stadium. I think we were doing the junket there. So you sit down across an actor, they're setting up lights, they're setting up the camera, you get some downtime to talk to them in between. So I'm like, I already knew the answer to this, I thought, so I was gonna small talk with her while they're setting it up just to break the ice. I said, so where you from? She goes, where am I from? I don't know, my mother's Yahoo! And that's how I met Michelle Rodriguez. Now flash forward a couple of years later, and she's had far more public relations training in that time, and we're sitting down in Battle Los Angeles. Yes, I don't quite remember the movie either, but I'm sitting down and she's much more formal and leans over to shake my hand. Hello, I'm Michelle, and all this stuff. And I'm like, yeah, I remember the first time I met you, and I told her the story and she just burst out laughing. She's like, I'm really sorry about that. I wasn't quite trained then yet, in terms of media stuff. But again, if you're gonna meet Michelle Rodriguez, better to have that first story. So that's probably one of my most memorable celebrity stories.
Jim has, he has this hilarious,
You told me the Olivia Wilde story.
Yeah,
With
the cows.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to bleep it out.
The other one is when I was doing the junket for Cowboys and Aliens, and I was interviewing Olivia Wilde, and we're out in a field in Montana, and at the end, and a perfectly fine interview, I thought, and at the end I go to get my tapes, so we can cut our interviews, and they're like, yeah, we don't know if we can give you your tapes. I'm like, I can ask anything, or I don't ask them who they're dating or any of that crap, and they're like, no, it's nothing you did. There were 2 cows behind her head, and we think it's in the shot. We can't have you have those tapes. We can't have that online. So they go and they screen it, and they're looking closely, and they're like, okay, her head is just blocking the 2 cows just enough that we can give you your tapes. So flash forward another few years, and I meet Olivia Wilde again. I said, I don't know if you remember, but we're at the Cowboys and Aliens junk, and she's like, were you the 2 cows guy? I'm like, I'm the 2 cows guy. So that's Olivia Wilde.
So one of the really cool things about this part of the job is you get to develop relationships with people over recurring interviews, and especially I did a lot of TV reporting before I worked at IGN, and also when I worked at IGN. And one show that I've been with from like the very beginning, like I was there, their very first Comic-Con press room and panel, and they were still introducing everything, is Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And that's a show I've followed, been reporting on really heavily. The cast, like, I can't undervalue the importance of like forging relationships with people, both personally and professionally. Like if there's that name value, not just with celebrities, but among your peers in the industry, or even as a fan, like if there's something that they remember you, I think it's a much warmer experience in the future. And so I've had 5 years of that at this point, of like really regularly working with this cast, getting to go on the set visits regularly, interview them, be involved in the show. And I got promoted a few months back, and a big part of that means that I don't have the benefit of doing that. I don't have the time. Like I get to send all these other amazing people who work on our entertainment team instead, and I was sort of grappling with the time commitment there, and I found out that Clark Gregg would be having a really special episode on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Obviously, he's Phil Coulson. He's like been a big part of the MCU from the beginning, and I was like, oh, like I'll see if I can send someone else to do it from the team, because I won't be able to go. And the publicist called me up, and they were like, actually, like Clark really wanted you to go. And I was like, I'll make it work. I'll make the time work. And I showed up, and he handed me a keychain that they had made just for the cast and crew. It said Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. on one side, and on the other side it said Season 5, Yahoo! Which is a big deal because they hit 100 episodes. It's a show that was sort of scrappy and going, and he gave it to me, and he's like, I wanted you to have this. And it just, I don't know, it was really special, and it's like those human moments that you remember with people, and that like care and consideration. I'll always like appreciate, beyond the objectivity of like covering your show, and if it's good or bad, it's a good episode, like just the human kindness that people can show. I think that's you remember a lot, and that was just a really special thing that happened.
That's amazing. That's so sweet.
Story. I still have it on my purse too. I was like, thanks, Clark. You're a good guy.
I like never know what to say. I met Mia Jovovich once, and it was just so nervous that I was just like, hi, and she was doing an interview in our studio. I'm like, hi. I was like, thanks for coming.
So here's the thing that's funny, because like Jeff Johns and Jim Lee and Frank Miller, like you've interviewed them so many times, these incredible comics, and I don't think they freak you out as much as like people outside. Whereas I think if I sat down with Frank Miller, I'd be like, I don't know what to do with my hands, you know? Like,
yeah, I guess somebody slapped me, but I feel like I take it for granted that I do get to meet these like world-class, uber popular comic book creators and stuff. But, okay, yeah, when we say celebrity, I guess most people think movie and TV stars, but yeah, for me, all the celebrities are, it's Jeff Johns, Brian Michael Bendis. Oh, I have a funny Brian Michael Bendis story, or I guess it was just so awesome and so surreal. So people know Brian Michael Bendis from doing Ultimate Spider-Man, creating Miles Morales, Riri Williams. He created Jessica Jones. He made Luke Cage what he's like in the Netflix series. He's done so many things, and not just comics, but TV, movies, video games. Even if you don't think you've seen his work, you have. So he also does this comic with this artist, Michael Avon Oeming, called Powers, which ran for 2 seasons on the PlayStation Network. But it's one of my favorite comic books. It's so good, it's so amazing. And I had been following his journey to try and get it made into a TV show for years. And it was like a pilot was shot at, I think, at FX, and then it was scrapped. They said no, didn't get the green light, and they had to start all over from scratch, recast everything, shoot a new pilot, and then it got picked up for PlayStation Network. And so IGN was going to premiere the first episode on the site live, and then we had a live Q&A with Brian and the cast right afterwards, and I was there for that. So it was so surreal for me to be there for after the world finally saw Powers, that I was there with the creator of it, someone whose work inspired me and made me fall in love with comic books, with Ultimate Spider-Man when I first started reading them. And just to be there with him for that moment was amazing and awesome. It was so cool.
And you guys are like email pals too. Like it's like
No.
it's a cool thing.
He'll respond to my emails, that is something.
I got to go to the Stranger Things premiere party for season 2, and I think that whole night is kind of going to be the one that counts, because met the kids, met Haim, the band Haim. So working on the entertainment team it does afford you the ability to kind of meet these people, and especially in cases when you're like really big fans of their work, it's nice to be able to just tell them.
Actually, I have one other one that I thought of. Just like, these are all like nice ones. They aren't Mila Kunis or Olivia Wilde level Jim stories. But I've been lucky enough over the years to cover a lot of shows that Carlton Cuse works on. And you know him from Lost, and I knew him from Lost. Like, there are a couple certain properties that I was just so obsessed with before I became a journalist that I like kicked myself. I'm like, oh, I never got to go to a Harry Potter set. I never got to cover Lost. Like, all these things I would have loved to do. And so over the years, between like Bates Motel and The Strain and Colony was the most recent one, I've just done a lot of interviews with Carlton, and he remembers me. And so we had this cool opportunity to do some big stuff around Colony's launch. And one of the things that the folks at Legendary and USA set up was the cast was live tweeting the first episode, and I was going to be there to be a representative of IGN to live tweet along with them and be a part of this. It like literally was, you know, Sarah Wayne Callies and Josh Holloway like sitting down watching it. What I didn't realize at first until they sent me the invite is that this live tweet was at Carlton Cuse's house, like his house address. And so I drive up, I'm like, what do you do when you go to Carlton Cuse's house for live stream? So like brought a bottle of wine and like gave it to his wife and like sat down and like did all my social things to prep for it. And Carlton made his signature margaritas. I didn't know this was a thing, but he like makes signature margaritas. It was really good. And they had like dinner and everything. And it was a really fun experience. But then after that, we wrapped up, the show was over, and he's like, hey Terry, I want to show you something. And I was like, okay. And he takes me up to his office, where he has all this memorabilia that he's kept from all his shows. And so he had like the ticker from Lost and like the model of like the statue. He had this letter from that George Lucas wrote him and Damon Lindelof framed that said like, "Hey guys, I made it all up too." Like it was just, it was so cool and so special, and just this moment where I was like, I just, again, like appreciate you as a person, appreciating me as a person, and that you like shared this with me, which not many people got to see, and I will not forget that. That was really special.
The number one tip I would give for anybody looking to work in the entertainment industry is make connections, talk to people, network, and burn no bridge. It's really, people do remember good people and people that aren't necessarily just looking to get ahead. But if you can make like real connections with people and do it honestly and be honest with what you're trying to do, I think that's the biggest tip I have, because I feel like that's how I got to where I am now.
The number one thing you need to do if you want a job at IGN or a place like it in entertainment journalism, games journalism, is to just do the work somehow, however you can, whether you're doing it for yourself on a blog, writing for a site for free, or you're just making YouTube videos, doing podcasts. You need work to show what you can do. You need to like kind of create your online portfolio so you can show people. Some people like the one like, "Oh, I want to write comic book reviews." I'm like, "Oh, show me your stuff," and they're like, "I don't have any." He's like, "Well, you know,
right.
Ideally looking for somebody."
Even if when you get that question, you write a Word document of what your comic book review would look like. You need to just, it's not just passion. You need to like,
you have to put in the work.
Yeah.
And just do it, keep doing it and doing it and doing it. I had a blog that nobody read, right? And now look at me now, making this video, telling you how I got here, you know what I mean? So just because, there's not like lots of, views and likes and shares and retweets and whatever on your stuff, like don't let that stop you, just keep going. Yeah, I think I was working at, getting a job for IGN for 3 years before it actually happened. 2 of those years were freelancing, so I kind of got halfway there. But yeah, you really just have to put in the time and the
freelancing
effort.
is a really good way to start as well. Like we always need good freelancers. It's harder to get an entry-level job, even an entry-level job at IGN without any experience, because it is really beneficial to us to have contacts, understand what it means to write or create videos or anything here. So I think that is a really good resource.
I mean, this might be sobering advice to you guys, but I would, as much as you love movies and TV shows, everybody on social media does too. So how do you differentiate yourself? How do you stand out? And I would just be practical and say that it's probably more important to have some sort of experience in digital marketing and understand how content is made and how it performs and how to get it out there, because there's plenty of people who love movies and TV shows and comics, and I'm very fortunate to have made my bones, if you will, in this industry at a time when things were a little different and they have changed. I think it would be very difficult for me now, if I were to start out, to have gotten where I am, especially at a place like IGN, which is, a lot of people want to work here. So my advice to you would be, love movies, love TV shows, but understand the medium that you want to write for, and understand the industry and where business-wise where they're at, because otherwise you're going to just be doing freelance, and you're going to pay a lot in taxes, and you're going to get, it's not going to be a comfortable life. So just know what you're getting into and understand fully the industry that you're getting into.
Paper Mario. Maybe my favorite game of all time. It fluctuates between Paper Mario, Golden Sun, and Final Fantasy IX. Though I will say, I love me Super Mario 64. I love going back to that game. I've been playing a lot of Odyssey. When you finally get to the Mushroom Kingdom level, I was like, oh, the nostalgia strings. I love that whole series. I was really happy that this one continued in the path of Super Mario 64 and Sunshine versus the sort of Galaxy direction.
you reviewed Paper Mario, one of the Paper Mario games, right?
Color Splash.
And we work out of the Los Angeles office, which is different from the games office in San Francisco. But Terry had like cobbled together her own like kind of capture station and review station and all the equipment. She's like, I just need to review this Paper Mario game. It means everything to me.
I'm like, I don't know what an Elgato is, but I'll figure it out. I think these clips are good clips. Sorry.
My favorite Nintendo game of all time. I mean, where do you start? I mean, Mega Man 2 was my first. That was my first Nintendo game. Don't know if I would call it my favorite now. Now I would probably say, just in terms of hours spent on it, Super Smash Brothers. Specifically, I will go with the most recent Smash Brothers game for the Wii U. It's been really cool over the last like 20 years almost to see them take a really fun idea for a fighter, make it more accessible, and see them iterate it into still that fun party fighter that everyone likes to grab at, you know, a get together with your friends, but also adding nuance to it that makes it as tough to master as any other fighting game. It's really cool to see them do that.
Well, Donkey Kong, because I was an Atari kid, like most people my age, and yeah, I used to love playing Donkey Kong. I always wanted like just like a Donkey Kong movie, like just where's my giant ape and have all that jazz in there. So yeah.
How many you said it has to be one game?
I mean, I said like 7.
Well, your favorite Nintendo game of all time, so.
My favorite Nintendo game of all time. I'm trying to decide between Pokemon, Zelda, and Smash Brothers. Oh my gosh.
There can only be one.
I guess if I was trapped on a desert island and I could only play one game for the rest of my life, it would have to be... I'm gonna say that Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask is my favorite Nintendo game of all time. It's so twisted. None of the other Zelda games really go in this direction. He puts on one of the masks and he's like screaming and you hear his bones crunching as he turns into another creature. That's crazy. And the whole time, like, you know, the ominous moon with the face is like looming over, getting bigger, threatening to kill everyone. But really what I really love the most about it, besides collecting the masks, which I did collect every single one. I had so much fun doing that. Did you do all the side quests? Oh yeah, so I got every mask. Yeah. That's the Pokemon fan in me. I was like, I need to catch them all. So the best thing about the game is that it feels alive. In Ocarina of Time, as much as I love that game, everyone has these sort of static paths that they go through, and it doesn't really feel like a world lived in. But Majora's Mask, everyone had a time and like a schedule that they would go through over the 3 days, and they would be different places throughout the day. They'd walk to different places. They wouldn't always be the same place every day. You have to go find them in different other places. They'd be asleep at night. You could go in and find like really intimate moments, like when the clock is ticking down on the 3rd day. You could go in and find like sort of the brave samurai character cowering away, afraid to die. And I was like, oh my god, like I feel that feel, bro. But I'm gonna play the Ocarina and restart this. But yeah, that is my ultimate, like, absolute favorite Nintendo game.
So embarrassing confession. I was so excited to get Majora's Mask. Like, I read the Nintendo Power review. It was a perfect review, glowing, like, just that this game is amazing for all the reasons you just said. And I got it, and they were like $60 for N64. I didn't have that money back then, but I made it work. And so I put it in, I played, and like the 3 days passed and I died. And I was like, cool, okay, play it again. 3 days passed and I died, and I'd be like, I feel like I'm missing something. And I never, ever figured out where to get the mask. Let you stop time and travel back. And so I never got farther than that. I just kept on. And I think I played it a couple of years ago and actually figured it out, but I like could not as a kid. That's a pretty important part to get that game. And so I was like, I just don't get it. It's pretty embarrassing. I don't think I've ever confessed that.
I hope you enjoyed my anecdotes, and I hope my advice is helpful to you. Follow me on Twitter at JimVeda, and as always, be sure to follow and subscribe wherever you like to watch IGN.
Thanks for watching, guys. Again, my name is Joshua Yale. You can find me on Twitter at Joshua Yale. My last name is spelled Y-E-H-L, even though it sounds like Yale, like the college. They spelled theirs wrong. And if you want, just hit me up with your favorite thing about Green Lantern, Pokemon, Smash Brothers, Lady Gaga. I'm all ears.
Thanks again. I'm Terry Schwartz. You can find me on Twitter at Terry_Schwartz. It's been a crazy 2017. I cannot believe it went by so fast. So we hope you guys had an amazing holiday and look forward to doing a lot of really, really awesome, even more cool things in 2018. We'll catch you then.
Hey guys, thanks for listening to me ramble. Enjoy the rest of NVC Vlog. For the retrospective episode, a look back.
Wait, what is that? Oh, there he is.
What's up, Zach? What's up, dude?
Does this
Ready?
just stay here now?
It's here.
It's always here before you get here. It's
I
crazy.
know. I leave it here. It's because I used to forget it.
Oh,
like the first
whoa!
couple
What the hell is
episodes.
that?
This is how the Switch flies.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you throw it in the air, and sometimes it comes back.
How much for that?
These little bad boys, I have no idea. I think they're like $20. They're made by Nyko though, which is cool. And
They fry your Switch?
yeah, the way that they're supposed to work is when you're playing in tabletop mode, you can actually like fan out these little guards right here.
Oh, snap! That's
See?
cool.
And then they become grips, which is pretty cool.
That is pretty sick.
Yeah. I mean, it's handy, but is it practical? You know, like that's the thing. Are you really gonna be carrying your Switch around
Is it comfortable?
with things like this? It's comfortable when you're playing with like individual Joy-Con, like a single Joy-Con like that. But if you have it in handheld mode, it's probably not your most ideal way to be holding the Switch.
Got it.
Yeah.
Wow.
But it's still fun to throw around. It's still fun to, you know, don't throw
bless
your
you.
Switch.
Don't think. You just snap them on. That's it.
Yeah, it's super easy. And then I
breaking
also
the
have
Joy-Con.
the kickstand on here, which is
Oh,
this
whoa.
one I actually
That's a custom-
dig. Yeah,
Wow.
it's pretty sweet. Works.
What's the difference? It doesn't break off.
It doesn't break off. It's got a little micro SD slot right here for like an additional micro SD slot.
wow.
Yeah, and it's got reinforced springs, which is supposed to keep it from breaking off, and it doesn't for the most part if you place it down carefully.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, so here, check that out.
Do you do stress tests with it?
Give it a shot.
No, I'm kidding. I don't wanna fuck-
My Switch has been through a lot though. Check this out. Look, pretty decent crack.
Wow.
Yeah.
You dropped it?
Yes, unfortunately. I actually dropped this thing so many times, and I'm surprised that it's still alive, which is crazy because this is like the one Switch that's been in like every single one of my own like YouTube videos. So I'm kind of like, when this thing does die, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna like get it framed and like put it on my wall. Be like, this is the Switch that made me who I am today.
Let me see this. Actually. Oh, these feel weird.
Yeah, see? It adds a little bit of back padding
That's
there.
all this right here. It's uncomfortable.
I know. So what have you been up to? Have you been playing that Switch at all?
I've been playing a lot of Rabbids.
Rabbids? It's
Mario
good, isn't
Rabbids. Yeah.
Yeah,
dude. I
it's-
just totally stopped playing Odyssey.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah.
Take it a
I'm
little
actually
break.
looking forward to my train rides now. Like I
Good.
get up early, like, all right, I'm gonna get to the train, get a seat,
I know, right?
and
It's
play for like an hour.
it actually has like brought back the fun and excitement to actual commuting, which is funny. Because like I used to hate like long drives and airplane rides,
Mm-hmm.
but now I actually look forward to them because I have my Switch, and it's like a
Yeah.
time that I use to like catch up on playing
Oh
games
yeah,
and stuff. So.
exactly. You guys also shooting tomorrow?
Yeah,
Alright.
yeah, we're gonna shoot tomorrow.
So when's that episode going live?
Tomorrow's episode is going live on Friday.
Wait, what?
Yeah, this episode is gonna be going live on the 29th.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, this is gonna be like our sort of like end of the year, last episode of the year type thing.
29th. So then are we still doing a normal episode next week?
Yeah, we're just double this week.
Okay, got it.
Yeah,
Oh man,
yeah.
man, I gotta come in next Thursday. All right, fine.
I know, but
No, it's okay. I have some stuff next week also.
cool. You going anywhere for the holidays?
Nope.
No, staying in.
I had plans to go to Philippines and then that fell through, so
Oh, yeah.
I was gonna save my vacay days for next year.
Cool.
How about you guys? You guys traveling?
Yeah, I'm gonna go back to see my family in Arizona, which is gonna be nice.
Oh,
What part of
cool.
Arizona?
Gilbert, I guess. I've never been to that area
Oh, really?
before. Yeah, they just moved there, so it's gonna be like the first time I'm seeing the new house and all that stuff. Yeah, I believe it's in Scottsdale, I think. or
okay.
Phoenix or one of those Arizona state or cities. I just know that it's gonna be hot and cold at night. So,
Oh, sounds about right.
yeah.
Arizona. I didn't know you were from Arizona.
No, I'm not.
You're not from
original.
Arizona.
Yeah, I'm from San Diego. We're all from San Diego, but they literally, when I moved here to San Francisco,
Sure.
they moved over to Arizona.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, so it was like perfect timing. Oh my god!
out of nowhere.
I came out through the other one. Hey, what's going on?
Did you just do a Kramer intro?
Just through his personal entrance.
I like that you got it. Giddy up. What's going on?
Good. We're just talking about
I got myself some
vacation. Oh, what? That's
Right?
water?
Apparently boxed water is better.
Oh, I heard about this. How much is it for box water?
I don't know. Are you playing Zelda?
Yeah.
I finished the DLC yesterday.
No. I have it rented out, but I haven't started it
I got
yet.
my motorcycle.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you like it?
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
It's fun playing it again. So I have not gone after all the Korok seeds.
You haven't?
No. So I have a couple of hundred. I forget what I got. But just going back in and put the Korok mask on, I was like, tick, tick, tick. I'm like, oh my god, they're everywhere.
Yeah, and you gotta
so
get them, yeah.
when you ride your motorbike around, I was like, tick, 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 everywhere. Because
Well, that's
you can,
awesome.
You can traverse so fast now. You know?
That's why I'm excited to have the motorbike, because like I never 100%ed Zelda, so now I have like this awesome dirt bike to
They
fly
have the
around
means to
and,
do it in
yeah.
a way that's more efficient than
Exactly.
Philip, what
yeah.
the heck is this?
That is my bat switch, my Batarang switch.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Protection as well.
What is this?
Oh man, I don't even know if that technically qualifies as a Switch anymore. It might be something else entirely that plays Nintendo games.
It is
on
pretty funky.
Yeah.
I mean, it's interesting.
highly modular.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like your silver Nyko stain though. That's fancy.
Thank you. Yeah.
By the end of the year, there's not going to be anything original left. This is like the Borg.
I know, right? That's
They're
what I'm
replacing parts of it.
It's just totally like Frankenstein Switch at this point.
Frankenswitch.
Frankenswitch, exactly.
Oh, this tastes like box.
I don't even know where we can get that.
You know?
It's in the melt section of the store.
I don't know. I found it in the office.
Oh, okay.
It tastes bad.
Yeah,
It tastes like cardboard.
like wax.
So, verdict is boxed water is definitely not better.
I don't like it.
Okay.
My wife's traveling right now, so I'm Mr. Mom all week.
Mr. Mom.
Yeah.
You always gave me that Michael Keaton sort of vibe, you know.
Yeah. I can do the creepy Michael Keaton stares too.
Hey, sorry.
Oh, hey.
Hey,
Yay.
Turns out seeing the new Star Wars movie is a kind of a curse here.
Why?
Because then you have to like...
Don't tell us.
No, I'm not going to say anything. But it's just been like 3 meetings and Slack.
Was it
things
good?
and all that.
Oh my
yeah, I love
God.
it. We're fast tracking 100 things to
Like,
do.
where'd
about
you
it.
rank it?
I don't know.
If number 1 is Empire Strikes Back,
I-
number 2 is A New Hope.
Listen, when I went into this movie, I didn't read a single reaction about it, and I want to give everybody else that same freedom.
That's it. That was easy.
That's fair.
Oh, so you don't like it that much?
Oh, I love it. Yeah, I love it. I just don't want to. I don't want to be like it's the best, it's the worst, it's the.
Oh, but
Yeah.
you have an opinion? Do you know where it falls in your own in the autonometer?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Is it better than?
Oh my God, Pear.
No, hold on. Is it better than
Pear, I'm trying to respect
the
all the people-
Ewok movie, the first one?
Yeah, but I also think the Ewok movie is better than Rogue One.
Hot take.
Rogue One was fun. I didn't care for
Yeah,
it.
more like Rogue fun. Am I right?
It was fine.
I liked it.
It was fine. It's totally fine.
I liked it. You could tell it was recut a bunch.
Yeah.
The
Yes.
char- the characters, like the deaths, should have mattered, and they kind of you're like, well, I hardly knew these guys, but
I mean, you can tell it was recut because the trailers are completely different than the movie.
oh, that was that badass scene where she faces the TIE fighter.
Which
I
they
wanted
put
to see
in
that
the-
boss battle.
They put it in the Battlefront campaign.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
They put that exact scene in there, but like it doesn't feel like nothing. A TIE fighter shows up, but they don't actually do anything with it.
Oh. So where does it? Is it better than Phantom Menace? The Phantom.
It's better than all the prequels.
Okay.
Yes, that's it.
That should hopefully
Yes.
go without
It
saying.
went above that
Low.
medium-sized bar.
Is it better than the other new Star Wars movie? What's it called?
See, now you're just getting me to.
Force Awakens.
Yes,
Oh, that's great. I like that movie. I just watched that again. I just watched it.
me too. I watched it. It holds up really well.
Yeah, no, it's
That's
good to hear that you
lot of-
like it. Not quite as much as Empire Strikes Back, and not as much as A New Hope, but better than Return of the Jedi.
No, Return of the Jedi is my favorite Star Wars movie.
Oh my God.
Return of the Jedi is my favorite movie.
How can
period.
that be?
Because
Your
it's
favorite movie of all movies?
Yeah.
It has the best space battle in it.
It has the best 20 minutes in all of Star Wars in Jabba's palace. That is that is the best heist movie.
Shoot. Yeah.
Like Rogue One is half the heist movie that Jabba's palace.
Chibi Jedi on Naboo.
God, I love that. Such a good movie.
Alright, I'm gonna do sound effects.
Go.
Weird thing about Force Awakens, there's like tons of like Dutch angles in that movie, which you don't see in any other Star Wars movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's really weird how many times that like a character comes in and they like when Finn fights electrocution, the shock trooper.
Trainer.
Yep.
He does that, and the camera's just like.
Ah, I didn't notice that.
Like he's doing a YouTube
I just
reaction
watched
video.
it too.
Yeah,
That's cool. So there's like a handheld like war cameraman with them.
kind of. Yeah, and it happens in Rey's flashbacks and all.
Yeah. Okay.
Because I don't know. I don't see the value in even being like,
course.
here's a tweet, my tweet reaction to it. There's nobody on the fence waiting for my tweet or anybody's tweet. Your tweet is not going to convince someone to see Star Wars.
Brian, how did you feel about when Jar Jar came out and killed everybody?
I didn't think it needed to be 45 minutes.
That does seem a little excessive.
I'm totally gonna go home, sit on my fence, and take a picture, and let you know I'm sitting on the fence waiting for your tweet.
I'd like to see you do that.
She would like a
very
series
strange.
of pictures of people sitting on fences.
You know what I would like? I would like a fence.
You don't have a fence?
No, I have a one-bedroom apartment.
I have a fence, but it's kind of broken, and
Oh,
raccoons come in through
please.
it. Raccoons come in through it every night.
So I hate when like the caviar is too salty. You know, when you're having that with breakfast.
Or there's too much of it.
There's too much.
Yeah, yeah.
It's how can you eat that
can't
much
eat all that.
of such an exotic good
Alright,
so
Zach,
early?
you go.
Walking around, boom, you step in a bucket of caviar again.
Hey, thanks again for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe to NVC at youtube.com/NintendoVoiceChat. If you want to catch up with the vlog, click up there. If you want to catch up with the podcast, click down there. If you never want to miss a video, click on the subscribe button bell right below the video. Looks just like that. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time. Bye.